Many fans were on the edge of their seats during the 2023 Bahrain Grand Prix due to its superior race and surprising and thrilling results. Red Bull Racing won and had 3 vehicles finish on the podium, but Aston Martin was the show's star. Red Bull's dissatisfaction with their success, fueled by a well-liked driver, was tainted by the Aston Martins and their vehicles' apparent similarities. Join us on Velocity City as we uncover the truth behind the question, did Aston Martin steal Red Bull's car design? We will reveal the truth. Let's dive in. Although Red Bull made an effort to minimize the achievements of Aston Martin, the race showed that the level of competitiveness is increasing, and Red Bull's advantage over the rest of the field may be threatened as the season progresses. In the past, Aston Martin has been accused of stealing ideas and concepts from other teams' vehicles. These allegations date all the way back to the 1980s, when their truck from the year 2020 appeared very similar to the automobile that Mercedes had created in 2019. Claims of plagiarism were brought against Aston Martin. Red Bull has expressed their extreme dissatisfaction with the similarity of Aston Martin's car design to their own. The two teams share a technical partnership, and Red Bull is concerned that Aston Martin may have copied some of their intellectual property. The similarities between the cars have been noted by fans and commentators alike, and Red Bull has openly criticized Aston Martin for allegedly copying their car's design. In 2022, the team modified the style of their car mid-season to more closely resemble Red Bull's, which caused other groups to take notice. Notwithstanding the criticism, the team regularly displayed strong track performance and demonstrated the capacity to modify and improve their design to remain competitive. It still needs to be determined whether or not Red Bull's discontent with the similarities between their vehicle and that of Aston Martin will impact the team's performance in the next races. It's common knowledge that members of Red Bull's Formula One teams routinely transfer affiliations, and Aston Martin is no exception to this trend. For example, multiple outstanding former Red Bull employees have joined Aston Martin in recent months. Red Bull is concerned that further exceptional employees may join organizations that compete with them. Red Bull is also worried that Aston Martin may have plagiarized its car design, and some people think that some of the team's former employees may have taken some of Red Bull's designs with them when they joined Aston Martin. However, Aston Martin has denied any wrongdoing, and the FIA has not found any evidence of copying. The Aston Martin team has also pointed out that they have a technical partnership with Mercedes, which means they share some of their components. Aston Martin has also stated that they have not copied Red Bull's car design and that any similarities between the two teams' cars are purely coincidental. Notwithstanding these reservations, Fernando Alonso and Aston Martin have garnered high accolades for their outstanding performance in the Bahrain Grand Prix of 2022. The team placed second and third on the podium, with Alonso outdoing Lewis Hamilton with some excellent driving prowess to claim third place, which was richly deserved. Despite any concerns about piracy, it's evident that Aston Martin did a fantastic job with the design of their car, and their performance in Bahrain is proof of their commitment to the sport and hard work. With the amount of time, effort, and money that Red Bull has invested in building their car, it's easy to understand the dissatisfaction that they're feeling. Companies have every right to be cautious of their intellectual property, and the slightest hint that their designs have been stolen might be highly detrimental to the company's reputation. In the opening contest of the 2023 campaign, Aston Martin and Fernando Alonso turned in a strong performance, which earned them acclaim from the commentators. Alonso's move to pass Lewis Hamilton was one of the highlights of the race, and the team's outstanding third-place finish was a testament to their efforts. The crew has put in a lot of effort to boost their vehicle's performance, and their labor has been worthwhile. For the upcoming Spanish Grand Prix, Aston Martin has made a significant improvement to their vehicle that resembles the design used by Red Bull. Christian Horner, the boss of Red Bull F1, expressed great worry over the possibility that their intellectual property had been utilized without permission. According to Aston Martin, the work has been certified as real independent work by the FIA. Horner made his views before the FIA released a statement clearing Aston Martin of any wrongdoing. In the report, the FIA said that an investigation had determined that no infraction had been committed, and that as a result, the FIA deems that the aerodynamic enhancements made by Aston Martin are compliant. But in a statement released after the FIA's reaction, Red Bull said they believed the issue was not yet resolved. It was stated that they noted the FIA's comments with interest. It was further stated that, should any transfer of IP have taken place, it would plainly be an infringement of regulations. Only this season, Aston Martin has had difficulty staying ahead of the pack, while Red Bull is battling for the world title with Ferrari. Alonso's displeasure leads him to accuse the FIA of incompetence. Follow the Spanish Grand Prix with these instructions from the BBC. The improved Aston Martin has a bodywork design very similar to that of Red Bull's, with deep undercut side pods and a stepped ramp-like shape on the top of the bodywork. Horner's car featured that design during the second preseason test in early March. He stated he was concerned because Aston Martin had recently poached many Red Bull staff members. One of them is Dan Fallows, who used to be in charge of aerodynamics at Red Bull and was hired by Aston Martin as their new technical director last year. However, he started working there in April after a settlement was reached between the two teams. Horner says that copying is the biggest form of flattery. That's impressive to ask your crew to create a very convincing replica of our car. Of course, some people have changed over the winter and you have no control over their beliefs. It's significant to instruct your team to develop a very close-looking clone of our car. But if any intellectual property had been sold or transferred in any way, it would be a significant cause for concern for us. To ensure that no intellectual property belonging to Red Bull has been incorporated into that car, we will be placing a substantial amount of reliance on the FIA to carry out its duties, which include conducting research and having access to all relevant information. Aston Martin said, "We have provided information about our upgrade with the FIA technical people. The FIA has now certified in writing that our update was developed due to good independent work in line with the technical regulations. This confirmation comes after the FIA analyzed the data and processes to create the update." According to a statement the FIA released, the organization carried out a routine pre-event legality check on the Aston Martin before the race weekend in Spain. The investigation focused on, in particular, the topic of reverse engineering and potential illicit IP transfer, according to the statement. It was stated that both teams had collaborated fully, but that the investigation had verified that no violation had been committed. As a result, the FIA believes that the aerodynamic enhancements that Aston Martin implemented are compatible with the regulations. The International Automobile Federation, or FIA, found that the modification was compliant with the rules that ban the transfer of intellectual property from one team to another. It's not the first time that Aston Martin has been accused of stirring controversy by supposedly mimicking the design of a vehicle manufactured by a rival company. In fact, the accusation was made just a few years ago. When they were still competing under the name Racing Point in 2020, the allegation against them was that they had produced a replica of the 2019 Mercedes. The FIA initially approved the design, however, after receiving complaints from competing teams, Racing Point was penalized 15 points and fined €400,000 for violating the rules and unlawfully replicating the brake ducts of the Mercedes. Although Red Bull is concerned about how similar the cars designed by Aston Martin look to their own, there is no evidence to suggest any copying. It's not unheard of for different teams to draw ideas and concepts from one another, and it's to be expected that other cars will share specific characteristics. Red Bull should focus on further improving their vehicle and not spend too much time worrying about what the other teams are doing. The FIA will keep an eye on the situation, and if they find any evidence that someone has been replicating their work, they will take the necessary steps to stop it. So that's all for today's video, and if you liked it, then please make sure to subscribe to Velocity City. We'll see you in the next video.